All right, scholars. We are now at the last U.S. history standard for the year, for the course, actually. So it is Standard 23, U.S. History, Social Study U.S. History, Standard 23. Assess the political, economic, and technological changes during the Reagan, George H.W. Bush, Clinton, George George W. Bush, and Obama administration. Now, this is some things that I can remember. All right. First of all, analyze challenges, substandard A, analyze challenges faced by recent presidents, including the collapse of the Soviet Union, Clinton's impeachment, the attacks of September 11th, 2001, and the war against terrorism. All right, the collapse of the Soviet Union. Reagan and Russian leader Mikhail Gorbachev met several times in 1987, agreeing to remove some nuclear weapons from Europe. This agreement led to Gorbachev to reduce Soviet spending on defense and aid to other communist controlled countries. The collapse of the Soviet Union. When George Bush took office in 1988, he continued Reagan's friendly relationship with Gorbachev and Russia. In 1989, several former Soviet controlled countries were allowed to form non communist governments. In November 1989, the Berlin Wall, which separated the East and West Berlin, was torn down. That was significant because Berlin was cut in half ever since World War II, and East Berlin was, excuse me, East Berlin. Let me think. East Berlin was more uh, to the Soviets, towards the Soviets, because of course the Soviets, so Russia was in the East, and they were a communist part of the city, and West Berlin was democratic or capitalist, and the wall was torn down. Uh, Trying to save their communist ways, communist leaders and some Russian army officers tried to overthrow Gorbachev. Their coup was unsuccessful, and in December 1991, Gorbachev announced the end of the Soviet Union. All right, here's a picture of the Berlin Wall as it was um, torn down. All right, the impeachment of President Clinton. In January 1998, Clinton was linked to an improper relationship with a White House intern. For the next 7 months, Clinton denied a relationship ever existed between the two. By mid-August 1998, Clinton finally acknowledged that he had an inappropriate relationship with her. By mid-January 1999, the Senate began impeachment hearings against Clinton, charging him with perjury and obstruction of justice. In February 1999, the Senate acquitted Clinton of the charges. And keep in mind, when you are impeached, that means you are basically tried in front of the Congress. Actually tried in front of the Senate. Those bills of impeachment have to be passed through the House of Representatives and then through the Senate. But he was acquitted by the Senate, and Clinton became only the second president to face impeachment. Of course, the first president to face impeachment was uh, Andrew Johnson. Of course, Nixon was about to face impeachment, but rather than face impeachment, he just resigned before he was impeached. Moving forward. On September 11, 2001, hijackers took over 4 jetliners, crashing 2 into the World Trade Center towers, 1 into the Pentagon, and 1 into a field in Pennsylvania after passengers tried to take back control of the plane. This issued the war on terrorism. The attacks were quickly linked to a terrorist group named Osama bin Laden and his group, Al Qaeda. President Bush ordered airstrikes and ground troops to Afghanistan, where bin Laden kept his headquarters. In 2003, President Bush ordered an attack on Iraq and its dictator Saddam Hussein, Saddam Hussein worried that the leader was supporting terrorists and keeping weapons of mass destruction. The initial invasion went well, with the U.S. troops taking control of most of the country within 6 weeks. Hussein was captured in December of 2003, though no weapons of mass destruction were ever found. B. Examine economic policies of recent presidents, including Reaganomics. All right, Reaganomics. All right. Republican Ronald Reagan was elected president in 1980. One of his first priorities in office was to try and fix the nation's economy, which was bad under President Carter. Dubbed Reaganomics, Reagan's economic policy worked on the trickle-down effect. He kept interest rates high, passed a 25% tax cut, and cut some social programs, deregulated government control. Reagan's deregulation led to price wars, lower prices, and increased spending by consumers. Though Reagan's policy had many critics by 1983, the U.S. economy was in full recovery. Examine the influence of technological changes on society, including the personal computer, the internet, and social media. Technological changes. During the 20th century, technology changed Americans' lives dramatically. Um, it affected how they worked, played, and communicated. The personal computer, the internet, and social media have all had lasting impacts on Americans' lives. This was the personal computer. During World War II, enemies needed a new type of technology to put them above their rival. 1946, the first modern computer occupied an entire basement of a research lab. Originally used to calculate artillery ranges and perform computations for the atomic bomb. IBM developed the first commercial computer. Development of the microchip led to people having their own personal computers. In the 1970s, the U.S. government and several groups attempted to link computer systems together by cables and satellites. By the 1980s, the Internet, World Wide Web, was created. Reached the goal public, reached the goal public by 1990. By the 1990s, anyone could get information and communicate instantly. This completely changed the world. Completely changed the world. It made the world basically a keystroke away. All right, social media, computer generated technologies that help with the creation and sharing of information, ideas, career interests, and other forms of expressions. Includes text posts, comment, digital photos or videos, all shared through online interaction. Um, and of course, it creates social networks. So of course, it's things like Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, uh, Instagram, LinkedIn, Skype, so on and so forth. D. Examine the historic nature of the presidential election of 2008. All right. In the election of 2008, Barack Obama versus Hillary Clinton. This was the battle between two political um, individuals that both were senators at the time. Clinton became the first woman to win a major party's uh, presidential primary, and Obama became the first African American to be nominated for president by a major party, excuse me. So both of those were significant milestones culturally and in our time. Issues that each candidate addressed were wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, the economy, healthcare, and the energy policy. On January 20th, 2009, Barack Obama became the 45th President of the United States and first African American to hold the office as he won the 2008 election over John McCain. The election of 2008, the election marked a shift in American politics and reflected the national mood of America. There was a huge voter turnout with a large participation by young voters. The economy became Obama's biggest focus. Of course, during that time, the economy was a mess. The housing market had failed. I remember that definitely clear. It was during what we call the Great Recession. So that concludes our standards, ladies and gentlemen. That's it.